You transplants that moved in Charlotte messed it all up for everybody. I said you transplants that moved in Charlotte messed it up for everybody. That's my word. Y'all messed it up. For real. This is my word. Y'all messed up Charlotte. Seriously. Yo, I came here in 2009. This is my word. This is straight real story, right? I came here in 2009 and Charlotte was like really like kind of like a small big city. You understand? It was just growing. You know, you had the links, the light rail that just opened. Eastland Mall was still here. You know, it was kind of turned into like a flea market type joint. You know, you go out there, you get some cheap stuff, you know what I'm saying? You know, like flea market status, right? And then, you know, you had like the little ice, the ice ring or whatever. You know, the Mexicans was playing soccer in there. You know, you had the drive-in joint off of South Boulevard. There's a couple things that was going on in the city or whatever have you. And it was just a really tranquil place, right? Now, taking heed, you saw like buildings coming, you know, like going up, like, you know, slowly but surely. You seen the city kind of like evolving. You know, Cherry, the area where all the black people were at, you know, at one point in time, it was a neighborhood, a community. They, you know, redid it, and now it's Midtown, where, you know, you have Target and Best Buy and all of those places or whatever have you. So in 2009, I saw the slow progress of Charlotte happening, and, you know, I was all for it. In all actuality, you know, I was all for it, like moving even faster than what it was moving, right? I really wanted Charlotte to be like the New York of the South. Now, taking heed, there is no such thing as New York of the South. I've heard many people, or numerous of people, talk about Atlanta being a New York of the South, and that's just impossible. It's no possible way. First and foremost, Atlanta, what makes up Atlanta, what makes Atlanta big, and what makes people say there's over 6 million people in Atlanta, is not Atlanta, the city itself. It's actually Atlanta and the surrounding counties that make up Atlanta's metropolitan area. So when people talk about that there's over roughly 6.5 million people, and that Atlanta is the southern version of New York, they're talking about Metro Atlanta. Other than that, the city Atlanta is smaller than Charlotte. So, yeah, I was under that facade of thinking that maybe Charlotte can be the southern version of New York. So I was welcoming in growth. But never did I know or had a clue that in 2021, I would want to put a halt to growth, put a stop to it. Because one thing that I didn't factor in until recently, I didn't factor in the Charlotteans, the people that were born and raised here. My main focal point was what I wanted to see out of Charlotte, and not so much what we as a collective, meaning the native people that are born and raised here, as well as the transplants. I didn't consider that. I didn't take that in consideration. I was selfish. I wanted Charlotte to be the way that I wanted it to be. And I left out everybody, right? So just recently, a couple days ago, I was looking at this WBT TV local news, right? And they were talking about getting donations for I think it was like Northern Charlotte or whatever. They have a school that they already bought and that they building on, you know what I'm saying? And they're bringing in, and all of this is relevant. They're bringing in, you know, the less fortunate boys into the school, and they're gonna groom them. You understand? They're gonna get them right? And the native people of Charlotte, the Charlotteans, are asking for donations and everything, right? So what is happening around Charlotte, for those that don't know, is the transplants are coming in, they're taking the jobs, they're gentrifying the area, and pushing all of the natives out. And those that can't afford to live in places like Uptown, South End, Ballantyne, South Park, right? So while they're doing that, the Charlotteans, the natives, they basically have to move out of the city, out of the city limits, Charlotte, out of their homes, and move into places like Gastonia, Mint Hill, Indian Trail, Rock Hill, Concord, and even those places are going up in rent. So let me get back to the point. So it's like they're asking for money to help build the school, and nobody's helping them. The government of our local government in Charlotte is not helping them. They're trying to reach out and they're trying to get money for these kids, because what has happened is, being that we wanted to see Charlotte advance, right? We overlooked and we counted the natives out of it, to the point where when we started doing budgets and shit like that and looking at in Charlotte and projected it in the next 10, 15, 20 years, we weren't looking at the less fortunate. We weren't. Matter of fact, from what I see, when I look at and I pay attention to everything. I look at the news. I pay attention to developers that have came here, people that own land. I look at the blueprint of what our local government is doing here, as far as how they're restructuring the Charlotte. I'm paying attention to the light rail and where they actually want to put it at. Far as adding on extra routes or whatever, extra track or whatever you want to call it, right? So they plan on taking the light rail links from Uptown to the airport, from Uptown to Huntersville. I mean, they have so many projects. But out of all of these projects that I see, none of the projects are talking about any type of low income living. None. I mean, last I heard, they're definitely within talks of and actually proceeding to gentrify East Charlotte. And this is what people need to understand. Your transplants that they come here need to understand. This is someone's home that was born and raised here. And I can tell you this is the second time I've lived in Charlotte. The first time was in 2009. I moved here, and then in 2019 I moved back. And between that 2013, 14, something around that time, I lived in Atlanta. So I lived in Atlanta for close to 3 years, and then I moved back because I didn't like it, right? So when I got back, man, I kind of got lost when I was, back in Charlotte. I kind of got lost because things had changed. Things had changed. They wasn't the same. And I can tell you, I don't count myself as being a transplant, because I moved here in 2009, and it wasn't because of this influx, everybody's moving here now. It wasn't that. I was living in Raleigh. Raleigh wasn't working out too well, and I said to myself, you know what I'm saying, I want to move further down south. And the move was to move straight up to southern Florida, South Florida. You know what I'm saying? Fort Lauderdale, Miramar, Broward County, and Miami-Dade, around that area, right? I already had lived in Central Florida, which was Orlando. I didn't like it too much, you understand? So I was like, I like South Florida, because it's hot year long. That was the original plan. So I said, you know what? I can't get there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna settle for, not for less, but I'm gonna settle for somewhere else. I didn't like Raleigh at all, right? So I said to myself, you know what? It's either Charlotte or Atlanta. Atlanta was like 7 hours, something like that, away from Raleigh. I said, you know what? Let me check out Charlotte. At the time, I was part of a cult, and I know that's kind of left wing, left field. You were part of a cult. What part of? If you look on my channel, you'll see I got Confessions of Ex Nubian part 1 through 30, and I explain me going through a cult. So I don't have to explain it now. You understand? Because we were on the subject of Charlotte. So I was part of a cult, and at that time they had a bookstore here. So everything that I wanted to do at that time was in Charlotte, right? So I wound up moving here. And I was like, where Charlotte was at 2009 was like on a brink of explosion, right? But it hadn't got there yet. So I don't consider myself as being a transplant. I consider the transplants being, if you're a transplant, it's like you got here 2018, 19, all the way up. Now, man, you would think that Charlotte was handing out flyers. And on the flyer was like, yo, could you come to our town? Could you come to our city? Could you come to our city? Everybody's moving down here. Everybody. And it's gotten to the point where that coolness that Charlotte had, you know what I'm saying? That laid back type of, attitude that Charlotte has, don't have that anymore, man. It's slowly but surely fading away, and it's not because of the natives. It's not because of the Charlotteans. It's because of the people that's moving here with their rude and disrespectful attitudes and how they want things. You understand? And I'm not going to sit here and act as though that doesn't happen in every city, because it does. When you get an influx of people, the culture changes. And this is what's happening to Charlotte. Charlotte is not this southern, laid back, like in the middle of a jungle that don't know nobody, that no one knows about anymore. No. Everybody's finding out about this place now. And everybody's moving here. And I can tell you that it has had an adverse effect. And that adverse effect has pushed the local natives, Charlotteans, out. But overall has pushed people that depend on low income living, you know what I'm saying, housing, and just affordability out. And what Charlotte is becoming is this utopia, right? Where it's family orientated, little to no crime, but at the same time, you're gonna have to pay to live here. And I can tell you, I've lived in Atlanta, and the prices are no different. They're not. It's not that much different. The only difference is when you're looking at Charlotte, in comparison, let's say a 1-bedroom in Charlotte apartment, in comparison to a 1-bedroom apartment in Atlanta. Same price, it's just that you're gonna get more bang for your buck in Charlotte in comparison to Atlanta. That's it. It's gonna be better. It's gonna be a better apartment in Charlotte than Atlanta, but you're gonna be paying the same price. Same price. Charlotte is getting up there. It's getting up there. It's getting really, really expensive. And this is where I'm seeing where the city is going, and which I'm disagreeing with. Yes, I want growth. Yes, I want change. I welcome that in. I welcome in culture. I welcome in diversity. But one thing that I don't welcome in is when people start welcoming those that are less fortunate out. Now, taking heed at this point in time, they do have programs for people that get behind on their rent. I mean, I was one of them when I first came here. You know what I'm saying? I had to go to places like Urban Ministries and, these different churches that will give you money if you get behind. Now, taking heed, you have to have a job. They have to see that you're trying, you're attempting to pay your bills. You can't just walk in that joint like Urban Ministries and be like, yo, man, I'm behind on my rent, and you was just sitting at home sleeping all day. That's not how it works. But they do have programs out there in order to help the less fortunate. But the money is slowly but surely dwindling away because of the fact that property taxes are going up, houses are going up. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is Charlotte, believe it or not, it is in demand. It is on fire now. You understand? Like, you put your house up for rent, it's sold like in a couple of days. And I know this. You understand? Because I've been house hunting. I've done my due diligence when it comes to looking for houses to purchase as well as rent, to buy just as well as rent. And the housing market is ridiculous down here. You understand? So that's what I'm saying, man. It's turning into something that I did want, but now that I see what's happening, what's going on, how the less fortunate and the people that lived here all their lives, born and raised natives, can't afford to live here. That's not fair. That's not right. Because at the end of the day, this is their home. And I'll say this, man. Truthfully speaking, I can't blame it on the transplants. Excuse me. This was bound to happen. Because it happens every couple odd years. You understand? Let's take it back a little bit. So, you know, at one point in time, the move was to New York. Then after that, it was Cali. Then after that, it was, I forgot where it was at after that. But there was a gray area. And then after that, it was the South. You understand? And it's still the South. It's still Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Then after that, now it's really like Houston. Houston is big right now. Houston is crazy. It's Houston, Charlotte, and Jacksonville, if I'm not mistaken. Houston, Charlotte, and Jacksonville, Florida. Those are the three cities that's booming right now. If you don't believe me, please prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong. And if I left a city out, I think Austin, and I think last is Dallas. But if I'm not mistaken, it's Houston, Austin, Dallas, Charlotte, and Jacksonville. Those are the cities that's banging, that everybody's migrating to. Atlanta's on its way out because it's became oversaturated. You see what I'm saying? And then people starting to see, like, minorities in specific are starting to see that, hold up, all this shit was nothing but a dream. You understand? Like, I gotta go down there and bust my ass because this is what's so scary. And I hope this doesn't happen to Charlotte. What happened to Atlanta is kind of like the same thing that's, you know, going on here in the very beginning of Atlanta, right? The inception of Atlanta, right? So after the Olympics, see, I hope y'all already know this, because if y'all don't, I don't even want to go there, but you should know some history about where you're living. You understand? So after the Olympics came to Atlanta, right? You know, everything boomed. You see what I'm saying? And Atlanta was this cool city, cool, vibrant city. But after the Olympics, everybody came here. Everybody migrated there, right? And of course, everything went up. Everything went up. Housing market, blah, 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 right? And then the land was cheap. So then you had these, and they call it the Black Hollywood because of that portion. But overall, you have these film producers and you know, directors, you know, of movies and stuff. They went down there because of it being, the taxes being cheap. And then the reason why the taxes being cheap is because, of course, when they go down there, they're employing people. So now you have jobs. So now you have, you know, this whole film industry, this small film industry that's second to Hollywood that's down there, and they're employing people. So people started migrating down to Atlanta because they was like, oh snap, you know, man, I could be in a movie, I could be in a commercial, I could do this, I could do that. And then of course the music industry boomed. So everybody migrated down there because they thought that, you know what, it's hard out here to make it in California. It's hard out here to make it in New York. But I could go to Atlanta and make it happen. They get down there and they wind up finding out after they homeless, after they done made some dumbass irrational decision like living with one of their friends and only moving down there with $300. Then they find out they're homeless and they got to move back. So I say in specific minorities, a lot of minorities, young millennials, Generation Zs, move down there and wind up catching that real bug. And that real bug was reality. And the reality is this: what happened is in Atlanta, I hope doesn't happen in Charlotte. Everything went up, and then your native Atlanteans got kicked out of the city, just like how it's happening here. And your Atlanteans are now begging on Highway 85, 400, on bridges, places where you're like, you're gonna get killed if you sit here begging for money. But that's what happened. All of the jobs are taken because all of the people that migrated to Atlanta took the jobs. So now you have local Atlanteans on the outskirts of Atlanta. Nobody stays in Atlanta because can't nobody afford it. Only the filthy rich and the dirt trash poor live in Atlanta. There's no such thing as no middle class in Atlanta. And another thing too is, as far as dealing with Atlanta, you have, I've said this thousands of times. In Atlanta, yeah, it may not be racism that much, right? Outside of 285, which circles around Atlanta, racism like a motherfucker. But inside 285, Atlanta city limits is something just as bad as racism, called classism. So you have black people looking down on other black people based on the amount of money that they have in their pockets. I'm saying that to say this. I hope that Charlotte doesn't get to this point. Because we do have a healthy population of black people that stay here, that live here. And we do have elitism going on. We do have black people that make a certain amount of money, that live in Ballantyne, that live in South Park, and they feel as though that they made it. Live in Huntersville. I just hope that Charlotte gets his act together, and that at the end of the day, everybody, no matter what you make, no matter how much or how less you make, that everybody can be able to live in the opportunity, to be able to live or have the opportunity to live in the Queen City called Charlotte. Straight up. I think that it's enough room for everyone. But the way that I'm seeing it, and like I'm literally seeing how the city is changing, it don't look like that. It don't look that way. When I go down Freedom Road and Wilkinson Boulevard, and I see gentrification, like they're slowly but surely moving on up that street, those streets. It's like, man, you know, when I see the light rail on Betty's Fort, and with the HBCU, Johnson C. Smith is, they slowly but surely moving on up and pushing the minorities out. I see what they're doing in Central Avenue, where they're adding on to the light rail. Hey, man, I hope things make a change, but for now, man, gentrification is real, and the Charlotteans, the natives that live here, are being pushed out, and the transplants, the millennials, Generation Z, or whatever you want to call it, I get them mixed up all the time. They're migrating here, and they're taking over, and they don't mind paying for a one bedroom $2,000 in Uptown. They got it. That plain and simple. And how do you kind of like, you know what I'm saying, like gauge that? You got this one man right here is in his 30s. He just graduated from he only has a high school diploma. He really doesn't have a trade. You understand? He's just a general laborer, you know? I mean, where is he going to get a job paying the amount to live on South Boulevard near Uptown, or live in South End, or South Park, or Still Creek? I mean, Still Creek is not cheap either. Still Creek is a nice place to live, but they went up on the rent on me. Like, well, I got about 2 more months to decide whether I want to live in this house or not. You understand? But for the most part, my rent is like $1,505 now. They're going up an extra $100, so my joint will be $1,605. Every year they go up $100. So In other words, Charlotte is not like, it's just like any other city, man. If you want to live in a nice area, you're going to have to pay. And the fortunate and the unfortunate thing about Charlotte is Charlotte has a lot of nice areas. That's the fortunate part of it, right? But the unfortunate part of it is the lot of nice areas is going to cost you to live in those nice areas. So I hope that I helped you all out. I mean, we're going on 30 minutes. I wish the city would just really like consider, affordable housing around the city and not just like certain pockets. You understand? But I see those pockets are slowly but surely dwindling away. They're gentrifying North Charlotte, now East Charlotte. I mean, come on, what are you gonna have? And they talk, whenever they say that they're developing and we're doing this and we're building that and blah blah blah, it's over. West Charlotte, look out. West Boulevard, look out. They've been looking at that for the longest. You want to know why? Because when you take West Boulevard all the way up, what does it lead to? Where does Wilkinson Boulevard lead to? What does Freedom Drive lead to? Freedom Road or Freedom Drive lead to? Where does West Boulevard lead to? The airport. Exactly. Yo, take it easy, man. I want y'all to like, comment, subscribe, and definitely share this video. Peace.